Well, good evening and welcome to the Just Jump In live stream. Happy Friday, everybody. Lots of people in the chat. If you're out there, let me know if you can hear me, because that is my biggest challenge, is you guys usually can't hear me or don't want to hear me. But welcome, everybody. And I don't know if the mic will pick it up, but it decided to start to storm for the live stream. So we'll see how our wonderful internet does. We are going to get some different internet tomorrow. We're going to get fiber optic tomorrow. So here's to hoping everything's even better. And so we had Bill, who came in first tonight and gets the virtual cookie. Welcome, Bill. Ray from Around the Layout, welcome in. Nice to have you stopping by. Mike, Rail Artist, welcome. Gopher Girl, welcome in. Rick, great live stream. Just came over from there with you as well. So good work on the painting and the lighting. I don't get that halo effect. I have one light. So Bob, welcome in. Nice to have you in here. All right. So if you're out there lurking, just say hi and then go back to lurking and doing what you're doing. But also let us know if you're working on anything tonight in the background, or if you're working not in the background. So yeah, Gopher Girl, I know you love any weather, any bad weather or whatever. You're more of a snow girl than a rain girl, but anyway, I digress. So just a heads up, I've been hearing reports on other streams. It seems like, you know, and I don't know if this is for, well, I can't see it on my end, but I know that some people have been complaining about YouTube ads with live streams. So I'll apologize for that. You know, I do my own ad. I do ask for money once in a while, but I try to keep it quick and nonchalant and not have these interrupting ads and things like that. I don't make any money from those ads, so that's doubly bad. Bad for you, bad for me. So with that, so I'll just apologize if you're getting ads. If you're a premium member, you're not going to get ads. But if you're not a premium member, which most are not, you may see ads during the live stream. So again, just a heads up, and I hope that doesn't ruin your experience of hanging out with us and talking trains. So, of course, I was prepared with everything else except for one thing. And so I will be super quick right back. All right. I apologize for that. Hey, Art, welcome in. Can't wait for that, Bob. Looking forward to it. Talking 3D printing, this is partially about 3D printing, but I went ahead. I've been using what used to be Aden powders, is now Monroe model powders. But I did decide just to try pan pastels. So I just got two. This is burnt umber and titanium white, because I know that I can use that to fade, and that would be the main effect I would use on most things. And you know, burnt umber gives you that dirt look. And this was just to try it to compare to the Monroe models and see what I like better. And my first use of them was that they were very similar, in my opinion, when I used them. I used a makeup brush with them to apply, and so they're supposed to have, less powder. They're supposed to be more sticky. I didn't quite get that. I got it a little bit. See, I'm not sure if you can see much on camera, but it does stay in there. It does, as you brushing over it with your brush or your applicator. It does kind of pill up, and you do see the grains, but it works like a powder. And I went ahead. You can see it now because it's white. You can't see that. So I went ahead and grabbed I had a 3D printed boxcar that I did some decal tests on or practice on, and so I grabbed that. It was a dark blue car, and so you might be able to see some of the burnt umber on there. You can see I'm going to see if I can show you some pictures, but you really can't see a huge amount of difference. On camera, it's hard to. In person, you can kind of see that there's some white in there. On camera, it's a little more distinctive than actually in person. But I did the sides in white here. I did the edges of the doors and down here along the rail down here, and then again on this side. It still seems stark now. I used it against a very dark blue surface, and so the other thing was that it's not supposed to create as much dust. I think it created a little bit of dust in the air, the same amount that I would see with the Aden powders. There wasn't a huge amount that fell off of the model. So I think that might be where the advantage might be in those. But I still need to use it more. That was just a first try. I kind of just went for it. We have a Blick art supply store in our area, and they carry most of the pan pastels. They don't carry them all. Each of the colors basically has like 5 or 6 colors total. It has the main color, and then it has lighter shades and darker shades and that sort of thing. And so I could pick up. They have a couple sets, but they're basic color sets. They're not like the weathering. They're not the specialized sets that I could get online. But if I want to get the individuals, I could get most of them for weathering. I don't know that I'll do that. I'm gonna work with these a little bit more. But the 3D printing part of me. So yeah, I get criticized for this map, but it's, if it's not used, then what's the point of it? So that's fine if we can share the space, but you got way more light though than I do on that. Hey, Montana Northern, welcome in. I've been catching up on your live streams, and if folks haven't, you should. He gets some great interviews and he gets some great people on his live stream. So did I scrape some loose with a blade? No. With these, the instructions basically are to take like a makeup sponge, and they have their own little applicators, but I was using these makeup sponges that I have, and to do it no more than 3 times to pull it off. And it does get, it gets plenty filled up on there when I'm doing, depending on how I want to do it. So if I just go like this, then you have that filled up, and it's not just on the sponge. There's a bunch on there, and then you can apply it however you want, like that, and then it'll run out pretty quick, and then you just scrape it up that way. So no, I have a set of pastels that I got like Artist Loft, so that's like Hobby Lobby, I think, and those are pastel sticks, and I would grind those. I'd take a blade to those and grind those, and then use the applicator and throw them on. So I've also used that. Split Rock Tom, welcome in. Nice to have you in here. But like I said, this is absolutely a first try. I'll work with them more, and if I like them better, great. If not, I have so much. These will last a lifetime. Here's the, and these are competitively priced with the pan pastels as well. And if I want to kind of be like a local buy kind of guy, this guy, the guy who owns and runs Monroe Models, is not too far from the Twin Cities in Minnesota here. So I have their whole leathering, basically their whole leathering set. So I'm probably set with those. Again, this was just something I really wanted to kind of try out and see how it would, how they work, because everybody likes them. They've been around for a little while. I did see a video on them that Golden, so the company that makes all of the products that Boomer Diorama likes, bought them from a mom and pop shop who originally had them and wanted to move on from them and to other products. And so, and Golden, their home base is in upstate New York somewhere. But yeah, so that was a fun little side try, I guess you would say. Okay, so me being the 3D print guy that I am, I couldn't leave well enough alone. They but when you buy the big sets, they give you these plastic trays to put these in. It keeps them all flat. They also have trays you can buy separately. These also, interestingly enough, you can pull the top off of them, and because they're all the same and screw on, you can pile them up like that. My only concern was you can't really see what the product is. So I was like, is there a 3D print solution to that? And it gave me a challenge. And so I went ahead and designed this. This is the first prototype. And the idea was to have it visible somewhat and also have the ability to put tags on these if I wanted. And the idea was to make them stackable. So I was teaching myself how to extend the bottom and how to indent the top so that they could be in there. And when you're prototyping the CAD program, you can have very exacting measurements, but it's not going to print exact. So I struggle with this. You can see that those are off a bit. And so the measurements I was using wasn't great, and probably didn't help that I was using a very quick print. So my next iteration before the weekend came was this one. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but that actually didn't print well there. But I just extended this out a little bit and I made a full kind of indent there. And here's the other side of it. And so now I'm having problems with the fit on those. But they're actually closer together. And I would have them going like this so I could stack them and kind of see them or label them one way or another. So that's another 3D print side project that I got out of this. And so I'll keep working on this so that I can optimize my space. I think it's neat that you can just use the top and screw it in and everything. It's just not as convenient as being able to just, go in and pull them out and put them back in. So more work and a side project for that. But that was my pan pastel, and I've been hemming and hawing for a while. So that was the side project while I was dealing with moving to the painting phase of the coil car. Split again, we were talking about it maybe before you came in, but we were talking about my mat. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna make a mess of this stuff anyway. The real key for me is just being able to put this on a shelf and stack them and be able to grab them out and put them back in there. But I'm going to add some pan pastels to this surface. Oh, there's one of I have from scratch building all of the grab irons and all of the mechanical pieces. I have brass wire all over the place. I just found that on the mat, and the floor is filled with them, and we'll see how many times I stick my feet with them. But I did get to the painting stage, and then after finishing the details, so we're going to go back to this car, and I was going to continue to use this as a test car, and you can see here's the top. Let me see if I can get more weight on this. I don't know if that helps a huge amount more. But before I went ahead and messed with the coil car, I wanted to test the paint. And so we talked about the paint previously, and it's like a red oxide paint, which was the closest color. It's all scraped off. And this is considered, Model Flex paint is considered to be airbrush ready. However, this came out really, really brown, and you can't really see it on there. It came out really, really brown, and way more brown than I wanted. And let me see if I can find the photos again to. So here's the thing though too is all of the coil car pictures out there, the Conrail coil car pictures that are out there are they're all over the place with because of their age and their use and who they and who was using and what part of the country they were being used. Let me see if I can find you some. And so let's see. Let's go back words here. Give me a sec to. You would think I would have it queued up. Another thing that I did not have ready to go, but I want to show you the pictures and kind of show you which car I was kind of going for. And I was really going for the newer looking or the cleaner looking car that Tangent actually used. So let's see. Let's go ahead and share this for a second. Thanks for your patience. All right. Let's see. All right. So this is the Tangent claims this is the picture that they used to build their coil car. Let's pull this back just a little bit. So so this is generally, it's a little bit shinier of a car, like it was just washed or just new. So that's, the trunches in the middle look used, but the outside for whatever reason looks really clean. But that's not the only. So it's got this kind of red oxide look to it. I did try to use it. People's suggestion. I did try to use AI to kind of try and find the photo, and yeah, boxcar red, correct. Hey, Brad, welcome in. So, all right, let's go back here for a second. Let's try. All right. Let me see if I can. The truth, though, is again, and I did look at a couple others pictures that have the cars out there, and so there's various stages of weathering, various stages of use. Looking for something that's drastically different. Talk about drastically different. How about this one? This one's all patched. Let's see. So I could have totally gone in just a totally different direction if I really wasn't finding the paint. But I just wasn't happy. This was really, I don't know if you can, again, on the camera, it's probably not going to do a whole lot of justice, but you can certainly see it's pretty darn brown. And so I just didn't like it that much. So I went about just seeing how can I lighten it up, what kind of mix of paint I could do to lighten that color up, or would I need to go with another color? And I was thinking, you like anyone else, throw some white in there. Yep, you can use a digital color picker as well. And I kind of did that too a little bit. I looked that up as well, and it was really kind of pushing back to the oxide red, but there are certainly different oxide reds out there as well. So what I learned something from this. We all learn from our model railroading hobby, is that you don't want to use white as your primary way to lighten something, because it actually changes the color. Yeah, Bill. I looked at True Color. I was really trying to stay with acrylic colors. I have so much sensitivity to chemicals now, and I've just found acrylics just are easy, have been easy to use. And of course, you are limited to colors that companies put out and stuff. So, not being able to use white, the suggestion was to use red to make it more red, or orange to just brighten it up. So I have tons of acrylic paints. And at some point, I was going to mix all of my colors. So I have this big bottle of primary red from Deco Art. So they do, yeah, Bob, they do have the Montana spray cans, and I looked at those too. I was looking to see what their primer was like too. I'm willing to try other stuff. I've just had success with Vallejo, and I've kind of stuck with them. Whether maybe I didn't really have success, but so I used this as I was mixing the paint. I used this as the test car. You're not seeing anything on the camera that's very different. When I took photographs, it lightened it up really a lot, but it is very dark. But it's much more red than, I don't know if we can really see that, but it's much more red, and so that'll work for me. Even if it's not a shiny red like on the picture that I showed you, I'm fine with it, because it comes out. They're at all different stages of use. The colors at different stages of fading, and honestly, if I want to lighten it up and show some use, I now have this, and I have the Monroe Models powders that can help do that. So I'm happy where I got to with this, and I made a ton of paint. And so this is, and that's pretty, it's kind of, you have to mix it every time because it separates. But and I know you're not really supposed to use different companies' products and mix and match, that they don't work as well. But I got the Tamiya thinner a long time ago because it was cheaper at the time than the Vallejo thinner. And I've stuck with it. It's definitely not $8.75 anymore. I think it was $9.50 the last bottle I had. But anyway, so this contains these two paints. So these two paints. So I start with this, add this to lighten it up or redden it up, and then add the thinner. And I have a Harder and Steenbeck airbrush. So I actually went back to their videos to kind of get how to thin the paints. I've been thinning paints a lot, but I have varying success. So I went with what they said to go with. And so I base coated it with the Vallejo white primer. Like I said, I go with Vallejo products mostly. And then I noticed when I started doing it, a bunch of splatter, and I've always had problems with splatter. And I know there are everyone says it's just, it's tip drying and all of that. It's a couple things. So what I found out is that I was, I was it was a lot of it was technique. Um, I found out that the trigger motion I was using helped cause the splatter. Not checking often enough for tip dry was the other big piece of it. I still don't know if there's an effect of using. So I use one of those I've used for years now. This is the second one I have of the compressor is this rechargeable compressor that hooks right on, and I use like almost like a gun for the um, airbrush because of where I live, because of how close I am to neighbors. I don't have a quieter compressor. So this has basically two speeds, and I think they're somewhat equivalent to 15 psi and 25 psi. This is the airbrush, the Hearn Steenbeck Evolution that I now use. The other thing that I didn't understand on usage is what the use of this was. And now I understand it better. It helps it helps control your movement, and so again, paint flow. And so I was adjusting that the way they suggested, and I was practicing and using the motion. So basically, when you on a double action, you press down and you press down for air, and then you pull back for paint, and obviously you control how much paint comes out through those motions. But what they were saying is you want to start the air, then when you're painting, keep the air going, so keep it depressed, release the paint, and then release the air. And if you don't do that, the paint gets caught up there and dries real quick, and then you have that splatter. All in all, taking all of those steps, it didn't completely remove the splatter, but it did improve it significantly. So, and I've watched those Harder and Steenbeck videos quite a bit, but I go back for tips all the time. Yep, I've seen that people do the filter thing as well. I haven't tried that before, so it's something I could try as well. Especially now, here's where it's especially I don't know if you can see that as I pull this off, but there's all kinds of drying around here, so I probably should use a filter on it, because as I pour this over into the airbrush, this stuff can come off in the airbrush that's on the edges. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to do the filter thing. So and what Gopher Girl keeps referring to is the U.S. team is playing in the World Cup right now. Hopefully she won't share the final score, because then I won't have to watch the highlights, but I'll watch the highlights tonight. I've gotten bad with a lot of sporting events now, where I'm just watching the highlights on YouTube, and not. It's like the shorts culture. I've gotten to the point where I don't want to watch the whole game, a 90-minute, 2-hour soccer game, hockey game, whatever. I've kind of defaulted to that now. So I've been watching the highlights of the first games. Watched some great highlights of the women's national team playing Brazil in a friendly warm up to their World Cup, where there were like 5 ejections, and it was pretty nasty. And that was on the women's side. I'll have to look into those filters, because there didn't I didn't see them around very much. But it was worth, I was I get really nervous with doing these big steps when this is going to be a judged model. But I went ahead and I've already had a model judged, and I painted that one, so I don't know why I was freaking out. Maybe because just a lot of work. But I'll show you this here live, and then I'll show you some pictures close up. So right now, this is what this one looks like. It looks very dark, but we can make things better with other techniques. This is with basically like 2 coats, I think, or more, because I went over it several times. I'm going to show you some slides to get a closer up view of it. And let's see if I can. Oh, yeah. Come on. Oh, here. Let's do this. And we're going to do this presentation. So first of all, here was the car before it was painted. I did start on the that was the other thing with this car too. I've started to use because I've got 2 bottles of this now. I bought one at one point to try it at people's suggestion, and then it came in a set. So I have 2 bottles of this matte varnish. So I used this through the airbrush on this car with the to seal the pan pastels. And what I was this roof, if you look at these, this roof was completely covered over with both the burnt umber and the titanium white, completely covered over. This is after it was sealed. You can see the top, it was almost completely gone. Just some of the white was left. And so that was a little disappointing. So what I think happened was, I think that I just had the airbrush too close up. I think it needed to be much further back. Most of the pundits on it say 10 to 12 inches away with your spray can or with your airbrush, and I was right up against it. So even on the lower PSI, I think I just blew it off, and it was really disappointing because I did a lot of work on that roof, and that's what made me decide to go ahead and use the roof as a test bed for the paint. Let's take a look. So here's where I was actually testing the paint out initially with the primers. I had 3 primers. I have white, gray, and black, and the gray is really like almost white. It's a light gray. So these are these 2 are very similar. It's a very light gray. They make about 5 or 6 different colors, but these are the main ones most people buy. So on that first strip, it was the straight paint. And so you can see the top one was with black, the middle one was with gray, and the one on the bottom was white. And this is on styrene swatches that I made. And you can see it just depends on how many layers you put on, because you can look at the white, looks very similar to the black. So then and I should say I mess with the lighting, so you can look at both of these for the lighting values, but you can see it's still very, very dark, that white primer. It's still the one I was going to choose. The middle one, I did what the instructions were saying to lighten the paint. I did one with orange and one with the red. So hopefully it's obvious. The top one was where I mixed orange in with the Badger paint, and the bottom one was a mix with the primary red, and the other swatch was just an extra swatch where I did the red. So and so obviously lighting the way it is, you can see it's still the most red. It's still in the direction I wanted to go. So I stuck with the white, the Badger paint, and then adding the primary red. So this is how I kind of came on the decision how I was going to do it. I really did a lot more prep on this than I did on the car I used, on the flat car. Back then, it was Brad, who is in the chat, who suggested using the Tamiya flat paint, and I did that, and I just went for it, and it came out okay. So I was okay with that. But I don't know why I was very anxious about this one and doing all these steps. Now, I think these are all good steps to do, is the practice, the theory, and these swatches, and all of this, I think, is a good thing. So here is a shot of where probably 3/4 of the way through the session that I did. Here's what it looks like. And again, take some, take into consideration lighting, but essentially what the picture is showing is where they definitely are weaker. Because as I was looking at it up close, there were a few spots I could see, but it wasn't exactly clear. Here's the underside with it completely painted under there, but needing much more work. And I spent much more time on the bottom, getting into the crevices, getting under that center sill was a pain in the butt, and the ends were a pain in the butt. And so there's just another shot of the top again, with more paint on it. And so I'm still going to do another run of the paint. I'm going to make sure that it's completely covered. So it might look like a thick paint in some areas. Let's see here. And so let's see if I can get you a shot get you the right lighting here. Okay, that's pretty clear. So I completely missed that side as I was going through. Most of that in there is done, but that's completely not done on that side. There's a spot over there that is missed. And then I did a lot of work to get underneath here. And so where you see lighter spots, I just need to get an even coat over the top. Here you can see some light spots. Just need to get an even coat over the top. Once I do that, I'm satisfied. There's another spot over there, and this camera really shines it out, but that's good. Those are spots I need to work on. Once I do that, then it is on to sealing it and putting decals on. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like the Pippi Longstocking comment too, but much appreciated. So I do have a question for the crowd, though, because I seem to have seen it done in multiple ways. Once I've finished the paint job, of course, I'm going to seal it. Should I seal it? And I normally do a flat coat, usually for sealing stuff. A flat coat. Sorry, but then I'll use here we go with the words. Talk too much, and that's what happened. A gloss coat. I can't believe, of all things, I couldn't remember gloss coat. Then I would use a gloss coat for the decals. So does it matter? Would I just go ahead and seal this with a gloss coat? And then I don't plan on weathering this for the evaluation. So I'm not worried about putting a flat coat for weathering until I want to weather it. So should I just go ahead with a gloss coat to seal the paint and be the base for the decals? Just curious, because again, heard different things on that. But that would be really the last step, and then I'll have to get some time together with the likes of Split Rock and some of the other MMRs in our division to get them to evaluate it and see if I have another merit-worthy car. And then I still intend to go back. I felt that I was delaying myself flipping between the 3D printed stuff and 3D printing it and doing the styrene car. So I still plan to go back and finish this up. From my experience with as small as I can get lines and things, I don't know that I'm going to be successful with the grab irons that are on the back and on the edges unless I make them flat. And that's not going to go over well with evaluators. So I still expect to be adding some details to this, like I added on here. While I have another set of the Hydra cushion set up for the brakes and everything. So that'll go on. I have tons of I still have a bunch of the wire I used for the grab irons. I used 0.0125 of the phosphorus bronze wire from Tichy, mainly because of cost. These tubes don't cost a lot, and as much as I used, I still have plenty left to work on another car. So I'm actually really impressed that I said to you last week that I really wanted to get this done. I wanted to get the car done, but I also wanted to have it at least primed and hopefully painted. So while the painting's not quite finished, I hope to finish it this weekend. I actually was impressed that I got there this week. Kind of made a concerted effort for that. So that's what I've been up to. So again, the future holds, or the next steps again are to finish the painting, seal it, and hopefully I don't have to do multiple seals, but I left that open for you guys to answer, and hopefully you can help me out with that. And then I have the K4 decals. I'm sure I showed you them before. And where are they now? So I'm getting smart. I've got all my decals together. I put them, of course, it's not sealed, but I put them in here to seal them for air and all of that. But here are the K4 decals. I used one of them on the line side building that I did previously. Looks very nice on there. There are tons of decals on here, and there are tons of places for decals. That I'm going to have to put on. It's not just going to be the sides, but on those tranches or troughs are going to have them. Luckily, there is a lot of decals on here because I expect to ruin a few. That's just who I am. But we're kind of moving along there. So I didn't update in the chat. So going out to my spiel about donations, I didn't update in the chat or in the I didn't update the code for PayPal, which expires but I did update it here. And if Gopher Girl, if you're still around, if you could throw up the Venmo link in the chat. If you're interested in supporting us and what we're doing, get some entertainment, even some education. And I include in education doing exactly the opposite of what I do. I think that's still education. You can throw a tip in the tip jar, any amount you would like. And again, I'm probably 180 or so away from 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I would like to build up. I would like to get active on TikTok and build up my Instagram. To live stream on those, you have to have 1,000 followers to live stream on those social media outlets. The new social media app for model railroading, I reached out to them. They don't have it set up where I can stream directly on there. I'm hoping that's Model Train Media. That's one of their future enhancements, as they're debugging things. So when that's available, I'll do that. I put announcements out there and stuff, but I just want to get a little bit more active. We don't have enough income to come into the house and to be able to, really dig into our hobbies. And so so I'm looking to hopefully, if I'm entertaining enough or educational enough, that people want to donate. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and just throw out there some ongoing donations that we've had in the past and some recent one-offs that we've had. So I'm going to throw that up here and thank them. And again, Gopher Girl threw out the Venmo link there. So let me just throw that up real quick here. So thank you everybody for your support there. It's much appreciated, and I am hoping the first thing I'm hoping to do. I don't know if I'll get there with the 100th show, but I would love to do some sort of giveaway for the 100th show. Um, and so that's one of the ways that's going to help me get there. And so with that, I'm gonna probably cut it a little short tonight. Um, it's been a a long week of work and working on the railroad. Oh, before I go, I did have a conversation with Gopher Girl, and we are going to expand her Lego area, and I am going to pull my modules up into where I had my N scale layout. And that'll give me some room to work on those. Maybe film some work on them, film some updates on those, which update videos have always been the biggest thing that people want to see. And I do want to continue to move along with my AP journey. And part of that is going to be prototype scene, is going to be scenery, is going to be your track work and engineering and that sort of thing. So hoping that we get that move started. I have that foam still sitting in the garage waiting for me to tear into it and update the modules. And so hoping to get that started soon. Definitely don't want it to derail the progress on the cars. I got to get back to the cars. I don't know if I'm going to jump back into the engines or the locomotives and go back to the go back to the modules and work on those. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see where we get. But yeah, everybody have a good night. If you're into the World Cup, it's well underway. We've had 4 games, or tonight's the 4th game of the World Cup. Tomorrow and Sunday, there will be 4 games each day. They've expanded the field to 48 teams. And we've expanded the field to 48 teams. And I need somebody, Gopher Girl, to build the modules for me. I have those 2 modules. I don't trust my ability, my stamina to sit out in a garage and do all the cutting, and it's not accurate anyway. I've never been that accurate. And I think these would barely work connecting to anybody else's. So if anybody wants to build Gopher Girl modules for her Legos, she would greatly appreciate that. So, but that's on the horizon. That's more work to be done. And but with that, I'm gonna say, just jump in, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.